Hey guys, what's up? It's Livibee here, and today we are watching a VOD of me versus RuFF. This game in particular, I felt like I played pretty clean. I took really cost-efficient engagements, and I was pretty proud with my performance this game. So I'd like to share a little bit into the mindset that I had during this game and kind of explain to you what I'm doing. Well, we're actually going to start right into this game. 3.5 minutes already has been played out. I've taken up to 3 bases, very macro-orientated play style so far, where I went for a 17, 17, 17, basically just a 17 hatch, 17 pool, 17 gas. Now, what I did was I mined my first 100 gas, and then I took 2 drones of gas and fully saturated 2 bases before taking additional gas and resaturating that gas and then going into lair. The reason I do that is just it allows you to get a few more drones out a lot quicker rather than continuing to fully saturate that gas, meaning you have a little bit more gas early in the game that you can't exactly spend it straight away because there's no need to go lair that quickly. Whereas getting your economy in a really healthy position as quick as possible is really what Zerg is all about. So originally I did scout that his tech structures were actually at the front of his natural. And this is very unorthodox play, which is very RuFF play style, very traditional classic RuFF. So what I did was I put a ling at his potential third base just to see when he expands. I sent an overseer through his main base just to see what's up, see what tech he's got down, and really just play reactionary to what RuFF is doing in this game. And you see, this is quite the unorthodox play style. If I knew he was going for the double starport play, I probably would have just been non-stop pumping out those queens. I've scattered it now, and I've really just got to react. I throw down additional spore crawlers, make sure I inject. I want at least 2 spores, maybe 3 per base. Maybe 3 at the outer ones and 2 in the middle. It is most likely that your Terran opponent that goes for battlecruiser play will be attacking those outer expansions just because it's easier for them to kite away from those queens and take minimal damage. It's more cost efficient for the battlecruiser player not to get that surface area of the queens attacking them all at once, but rather go on high ground situations and really just poke at the mineral lines. Also, on top of this, I will be making additional queens and throwing down a spire. So the spire means that I will be able to transition to corruptors, which is more cost efficient against the battlecruisers, especially since they can fly over empty area space or over cliffs or edges that really make it annoying for you to defend against the battlecruisers. I'm going to be sending a changeling through the main base as well, just to make sure nothing's changed, see what other unit composition he's going to be making other than the battlecruisers, so like cyclones, hellions, tanks, what his primary composition of army is so that I can build an army that will counter it basically. I see that he's got a couple of tanks, he's making some missile turret defense. I'm really just waiting in position to see when these battlecruisers are going to teleport into my mineral line. Because he hasn't pushed just yet, I've decided to just start going into that corruptor production as well and spreading that creep out. The more map awareness I have, the better I will be able to defend and the better I can transition to the mid game. Now as the 2 battlecruisers come through my third base, I do shut the pressure down pretty much instantly, and this is what scouting does. It allows you to be prepared for these pushes. Because I scattered those double stargates, I was able to get those additional spores, corruptor and queen unit composition to really just shut it down immediately. So pretty happy with how things are going so far. Into the mid game, I definitely want to be getting my upgrades as soon as I can against Mech, as that's what it seems to be leaning towards. Very Mech playstyle with the amount of factories and battle cruisers that he seems to be making with the tanks. The thing about Mech, which is really useful to know, is that it's quite slow. It's slow at getting across the map, and it's quite slow at timings. So other than the Hellion run-bys and stuff like that, the full-blown Mech push won't hit for quite some time. So this allows you as a Zerg player to be a little bit more greedy than you otherwise would be against Bio. So I send my corruptors across the map, not only as a scout, but a little bit of a poke. See if I can, do some caustic spray onto some factories and whatnot. Or even pick up a battlecruiser if it's out of position. But I do encounter the cyclones.
Oh my god, that's a lot of cyclones, isn't it?
The cyclones, they do greet me at the edge of that cliff trying to pick off my corruptors. And at this point, my gameplay style needs to pivot. I need to incorporate infestors into my unit composition and roaches and probably some speed banelings as well. And the reason I do this is because when a Terran player goes mass cyclones, their main objective is to just snipe hatcheries and run away. So really hinder your economy rather than facing your army and killing off your units straight up, or basically just rolling you over. It's more of the Hellion run by feeling where they try and roast your drones, but instead of your drones, they go for hatcheries. So mass cyclones need to be shut down, but they're so quick at running away. The only way to stop them from running away is getting that juicy fungal off. And you don't need to incorporate too many infestors, probably around 4 to begin with, just to like basically land a nice juicy fungal on a group of cyclones and just shut down the pressure immediately. It's okay actually even if they snipe the hatchery, as long as you kill their army completely. And you can retake the hatchery. As long as you've got other hatcheries around the map, you can transfer your drones to, and your economy is not too hindered. So now he's pushing across the map with a nice healthy army size of Hellion Cyclone. I'm getting my infestors into position. He's also double pronging attack with the battlecruisers in my main, so I'm sending my corruptors into the main base to try and shut down the battlecruisers as well without taking too much economic damage. Luckily the spores in place do slow them down as well, and they're forced to blink out of there. On the other side, he's trying to push forward. I do botch a fungal slightly. It would have been a juicy one, but he backs up just in time to miss that fungal. Very nice micro from RuFF indeed. Now I'm just building up an army composition. At this stage in the game, my economy is pretty healthy. I could probably be in a little bit better situation economically, like my force should probably be fully saturated, but it's only about half saturated. But I do have my 5th hatchery just as like a macro hatchery right now, kind of just providing that additional lava if necessary. What I really need to be focusing on in this game is getting my creep spread as close to his base as possible. And though I haven't scouted his 3rd base that is positioned directly in front of his expansions, I know he's taken it. At 10.5 minutes in the game, you can pretty much bank on the fact that he's taken that expansion by now. But my Great Aspire has completed, and thank God, because nothing shuts down Hellion Cyclone harder than the Broodlords. And the fact that I've played greedy up until this point and not overreacted to any potential incoming pending attacks puts me in a really nice situation this stage of the game. I have a nice amount of creep spread going. My unit composition I'm feeling quite confident with. I got a nice amount of queens from the early game battlecruiser defense. I had the corruptors ready to transform into those Broodlords as well because I made them against battlecruisers in the mid game, and I'm taking extra bases on top of this. So now's the time where I'm probably looking to poke forth. He's got a little cheeky widow mine in the middle of the base there. We want to get rid of that pretty quickly. He's now posturing forth on the edge of my creep, looking to shut down tumors and poke off a queen here and there. But we don't want any of that. We push forth with our Broodlords. We get our Overseers in position to clean up any of those pesky widow mines and replant that creep. It's really important to replant that creep because my army is just super immobile, and I need to have the map awareness to see when he does those counter harassment multi-prong attacks that could come and potentially shut down my economy, which really hinders my ability to remax after each engagement. See these battlecruisers coming around to the left-hand side of the map, really shutting down that expansion. That is something that we could definitely prevent if we had our creep spread further out to the left side. So you see me doing exactly that. I'm planting the tumors down now on the left side of the map. The right side's pretty much covered. I'm feeling good about my creep spread coverage on the right side. Now I really got to push it to the left and do some pokes at his economy. There's nothing more scary than your mech opponent having just an enormous economy. So at this stage of the game, it's really good to just like poke to see if you can find any openings, send some changelings through, scout to see where his army is positioned, really set up a nice engagement like a surround or a flank. If you can engage on creep, that is completely ideal. Otherwise, it's best to play it safe. Now I've got a healthy number of 12 Broodlords at this stage of the game. After these Broodlords hatch, I'm basically maxed, and I will be looking to bring some pain. This game is all about patience. If you can tell, neither of us really have committed too heavily into a full-blown army versus army engagement. We really just want to find the opportune, perfect engagement that will really change the tide of how this game's going to go. The game changer engagement, if you will. And in doing this, I've got to make sure everything is set up before I do this, because before you engage, what's really good is to do a round of injects, plant some creep, and set up another expansion. even throw down some static defense. When you push out against Mech, they'll always try and do counter attacks like Hellion run-bys, Cyclone run-bys, and if you put up some static defense like a couple of spines, couple of spores, in case they blink their battle cruisers as well, that's also something common that Mech players will do. And you know that RuFF has the battle cruisers in his unit composition, so it's really good to have that in the back of your mind. Now he's setting up a lot of Liberators. He's really zoning my army out of the right hand side of the map. It's looking like he wants to clean up some creep spread and really push forth to hinder my economy here. I gotta stay concentrated. I'm gonna send my Corruptors back to deal with the battle cruisers while sending the Queens to replant that creep. You'll also see that I'm doing like a multi-prong run by with the rest of my roaches. I built these roaches early in the game to deal with the Hellion Cyclone in case he committed heavily into my hatchery, trying to take it down, then I could fungal and clean up the army. But in the late game, once you get to the stage where you have Broodlord, Corruptor, Infestor, all those late game tier 3 units, even if you make like Vipers or Ultralisk, if that's your if that's your unit of choice. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the Ultralisk, but they are pretty cute. Little big dinosaurs march across the map. But in the late game, you don't want roaches. Roaches take up a lot of supply and they don't really trade well in big army engagements. So it's actually best if you utilize those roaches as a run by. But the best thing about it is that I did clean up some supply. Now I will be able to get more Corruptors, more Broodlords, more Infestors, more of everything that I need to really shut down the unit composition that RuFF's going for. And now I'm pushing forth with my end game heavy Broodlord Corruptor army, and you'll see RuFF, he's decided to go for a base trade situation. It's not so much a base trade, rather more a distraction to pull my units out of position. Because what I feel like he's banking on is that I'll turn around to defend my base. Because it is a Zerg player, if you don't actually defend your base, it can get out of hand quickly. Because a Terran player who attacks your economy and kills all your tech structures, gets in your mineral lines, and kills off basically everything you have back at home while your army's on the other side of the map trying to finish off the Terran player. Your Zerg army actually kills things a lot slower. Terran works well defensively. So with repair and planetaries and bunkers and missile turrets and siege tanks and all that defensive positioning that a Terran player can do back at home slows down a Zerg army quite significantly, where a Terran player can actually do more damage to you quicker than you can do to them, which is why you'll see a lot of Mech players opt to go for the aggression rather than the defensive if your army has been pushed out onto the map. So I send my Infestors back, trying to slow down this Terran army. I get some nice fungals off, but I lose a couple Infestors in the trade while trying to get a nice flank with my Broodlords on these Cyclones. Unfortunately, a lot of the Cyclones do run away quickly as they are much faster than my Broodlords. Luckily in this engage, all I did lose was that one base. So behind this, I'm replanting that creep and I'm trying to refocus my army, reposition my army in a nice position where I could catch RuFF's army out of position. Or at this stage of the game, it can get kind of frustrating trying to push out and then the Terran player coming in with Cyclone Hellion army trying to turn your slow Broodlord army back around. I understand the pain, trust me. But just be patient, make sure you have good creep spread, good map awareness, you're denying any further potential expansions that your opponent can take, and then deny the run-bys. As long as you have all those factors handled, you should be able to come out ahead in this game. Now, it's always a good idea, if you're going for that Infestor playstyle, and you can afford to do it, to research Neural Parasite. You got those Infestors on the map for a while, they've really been building up the energy. You throw down the research of Neural Parasite, it really is like an insurance ticket. In case your opponent goes for a bit of a tech switch, it goes for a mass Thor unit composition. Because a lot of Terran players that see you go mass Broodlords, there's a couple of things that they could do to counter your mass Broodlord playstyle. That's mass Thor. And that's exactly what you see RuFF doing here in this game. He's going for the mass Thor countering of the Broodlords, but that's no match to my Neural Parasite. And then you'll see me manually attack the Neural Parasited Thor. So it's like attacking your own unit. And the reason I do that is because Thors actually pretty much outrange Broodlords these days. Basically, they're really cost efficient against Broodlords. So you need to get rid of them as quick as possible to keep your Broodlords alive. And I know this isn't a popular unit of choice, but late game I do like to incorporate just like a handful of Hydralisks. I really like the amount of DPS they add your overall unit composition. And you have the Broodlords and the Queens and the Corruptors. The Hydras, they actually really add a nice solid amount of DPS. They shut down Thors really quickly. If you single target them down immediately after you Neural Parasite them, then it's just really hard for a Terran player to deal with that. And exactly as you see RuFF doing here with Cyclone run-bys as well, I feel like Hydras with max upgrades are really good at shutting down little hit squads of cyclones that run around the map as well. So really, this entire game has been going quite swimmingly for me. I've shut down a lot of his economy. He's not mining as much as I am. I've got a healthy amount of income while we actually shut down a lot of RuFF's income. That push was really good for us. Not only did we kill two of the...
It was really good for me, by the way.
Not only did we kill two command centers, essentially 2 bases worth of income, we killed a lot of his army as well, like all his Thors, a lot of his cyclones, and those ghosts as well that we saw were there. Now I'm going to do a follow-up push where I'm hoping this will be the game-ending push for me. I've got a maxed out 200 army of Broodlord, Infestor, Corruptor, Queen Hydra. Alright, so with this game-ending push, this is how I want to micro it. I really want to push forward with my Broodlords with the support of the Hydra Baneling Queen underneath them. My Corruptors are going to just be flying around just in case there's Vikings that want to take shots at the sides of the Broodlords. And I really want to babysit my Infestors and hopefully get either a really nice juicy fungal on a bunch of ghosts or cyclones, or just land really nice neuroparasites on the front line of the Thors. The reason why I want to neuroparasite only the front line of the Thors is I really want to save that energy for further neuroparasites, because as you know, neuroparasite isn't a permanent thing, it is timed. So once it times out, I want to be able to replant those neuroparasites in case the army hasn't died yet, and it allows the Thors at the back to kind of bug out because they are not in range of the Broodlord where the Thors at the front were. And when those Broodlords are just doing so much damage, there's actually just too many Broodlords for RuFF to contest against here. So I hope this commentary helped you guys. And if you liked it, thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe to my tube. See you guys next time.
We did it! We did it! Oh, oh, yeah, yeah. Ooh, ooh. We bloody did it!
Hell yeah. That's what I like to see. GG, guys. GG. I'm on a bloody roll today. I'm doing really good.